My first drum corps that I saw was the General George Bell Corps, who met downtown Chicago, sponsored by a VFW post. And I fell in love with it. I just thought it was a terrific thing. I was in the Boy Scouts. And two of my buglers, every time we wanted to do something, they had another parade. So I went down to see what the Sam Hill was going on.
In 1948, 20-year-old Scoutmaster Don Warren and Boy Scout Troop 111 from Chicago's Logan Square neighborhood began a journey that we now celebrate 75 years later. The Corps spent its formative years as a parade corps, while Warren and the other staff focused on sponsorships, finances, and other challenges. First sponsored by Kosciuszko Post 712, the Corps wore hand-me-down uniforms of different designs and colors. About that time, the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company had a flashy promotional campaign for its Cavalier cigarettes.
Cavaliers are king size, yet priced no higher than leading regular size brands. Feel that mildness. Taste that flavor. That's a Cavalier.
That name, implying swashbuckling and drama, seemed unnatural to the kids in the Corps, so Cos 712 became the Chicago Cavaliers. After a summer full of parades, contests, and other appearances in 1950, it was time to select new uniforms for 1951. Comfortable open necks and loose trousers in a swashbuckling Cavalier style replaced sweltering Army surplus wool. The members' initial vote was for chartreuse as the dominant color. When the uniform maker explained the fading effect of the summer sun, the second choice quickly became Kelly green and the color of the Cavaliers. A turning point for the young Corps came in 1952. The Chicago Cavaliers won the Iowa State Fair contest, the Corps' very first win. Titles continued to accumulate in 53 and 54. Many predicted the Cavaliers could take a national title. With percussion their Achilles heel, Cavaliers placed a disappointing 10th at Legion Nationals in Washington, D.C. Who knew that 10th place finish would be the Corps' lowest at a national championship for the next 19 years? In 1955, management brought in the legendary rudimental drummer Frank Arsenault. His work conferred instant credibility, the missing piece of the puzzle. The Corps won its first VFW state title and finished a strong 5th at American Legion Nationals in Miami. But the first order of business in 1957 was a proper Cavaliers presence as Jan and Don Warren exchanged their vows. Every girl's dream, right? Cavaliers managed to win both Legion and VFW state titles for the first time. A fiercely competitive summer seemed to be just the preparation the Corps needed to win their first VFW Nationals in Miami. It was the first time that a Midwest Corps broke the stranglehold of the East. Despite repeating as national champions in 1959, challenges faced the Cavalier organization. Show titles held for years were slipping away. American Legion and VFW sponsors were struggling to sustain the Corps financially. But the 1960 season, with all its challenges, evolved successfully, with the Corps earning a 17-4 record and recapturing most of the show titles lost in 1959. Then came the legendary 1961 season.
Cavaliers, you may enter the field for competition.
Including a razor-thin victory by 25 thousandths of a point at State Fair, the Corps went into the 61 VFW Nationals in Miami undefeated, yet guarded for the looming confrontation with the East Coast powerhouses. The Cavaliers finished the year with a national championship and a 25-in-a-row win streak carrying over from the 1960 season.
Whenever we were at our shows, the boys in the Corps were outside our gym, polishing our white bucks while everybody else was rehearsing. And we teased the hell out of them because they had to go rehearse, and said, no matter how much you do, you're not going to beat us. We're undefeated. We were overwhelmed with everything that we were able to do.
The Corps truly earned its reputation as the Green Machine. By June of '62, the Cavaliers had not lost a contest in 23 months. But another undefeated season was not to be, and the win streak was broken at 29. The season was still a success with a 22-4 record and the Corps' fourth national title at the Minneapolis VFW Championship. 1964 saw unexpected success off the football field as Cavaliers' newly formed Winter Comp Guard won the Midwest Color Guard Circuit Championship in their very first attempt.
We took this as a challenge. Before that year, our Guard did not enjoy a great reputation in the activity or within the Corps itself. We were determined to change that. We proved we could achieve the highest levels of excellence, and we brought home the first Color Guard Championships to add to the Corps' legacy. It remains one of our proudest achievements as Cavaliers.
1965 was a memorable year. VFW Nats were famously held indoors at Chicago's McCormick Place after rain flooded Soldier Field. The 1966 program featured the outstanding drumline of that period, but the Corps ultimately came away with only the American Legion title. Perhaps it was the absence of Over the Rainbow from the program for the first time in 18 consecutive seasons. It was on a warm July evening in 1967 that the first Drum Corps Hall ever at 2507 North Kedzie passed into history in a Viking funeral. The hall burned to the ground with all its trophies and horns and extra uniforms. It was sad when the great hall burned down. Despite the setback, the Corps went on to yet another winning season and won both VFW and American Legion national titles. The 70s were a time of change and upheaval for the world, the country, and Drum Corps.
Well, it was 1970 when I talked to Jim Jones from the Troopers, and I thought we should start organizing the Drum Corps where we could control our own rules and start to reap some of the benefits of the profits people were making off of us at running shows, recording. You could get a recording of any corps at any show, but you never got 10 cents for it. And through that, we organized the Combine in the Midwest. And then we met with the East, and thus came DCI.
1971. Some have said it's the year Drum Corps died. Well, we know that isn't true, but while the circus show wasn't well received from the Cavaliers, it was a foreshadowing of concept shows yet to come. The DCI era began in 1972, and the Cavaliers were a charter member of the newly formed Drum Corps International, finishing 9th at that first championship in Whitewater, Wisconsin.
The Cavaliers.
The first generation of Cavaliers created a dynasty of domination, but the Drum Corps world of the 70s was moving at a meteoric pace. Creativity, dedication to the Corps' value, and a fierce belief that the Cavaliers must survive. These would be the hallmarks of the next 25.
In first place, the